Hello, and welcome to Be Here Now, where provides perspective and allows peace. We are live on newstreamingnetwork.com, WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, radio, TV, and podcast. Our topic for today is Words Matter. Choose them wisely. I am your co-host, Judy Forder, and I am here with my co-host in peace, Miss
Janice Leonard. Hey, everybody. So glad to have you here with us. And we are Judy and Janice. We do this once a week. I forgot who we were. And we take this time. We just want to share some stories, uh, share some tools, and maybe help all of us be a little healthier, happier, at peace. And for me, especially to be here now. So we are part of a nonprofit. And if you want to support us in any way, we appreciate it. We appreciate you watching. And a thumbs up, a subscribe, a donation to our website. Our website is peacefulempowermentworks.org. There's a donate button on the top and bottom, and it's tax deductible.
Yes, it is.
I twisted it a little bit today. So did I miss something?
No, I don't think so. The best free way to support us is to like, share, comment, and subscribe.
That's right.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
We do. Janice, would you like to bring us in?
Oh, I think I can.
She's got no brace this week, people.
Yeah. Okay.
Deep breath in. That was a good one.
Yeah, boy, I've missed that. Can you hear it? Did you hear it okay?
Uh-huh. That was
Okay.
beautiful.
Good.
Beautiful. So our topic today is words matter, choose them wisely. And I had forgotten and was reminded in our pregame meeting that Janice actually has a degree in communication theory. So she's going to talk to us a little bit about what she learned and what she knows about written word and spoken word and the differences between all of them, because that is all extremely important moving forward. So yes. Janice, spill your wisdom with us, please.
Oh, it was a long time ago that I got my BA in communications. And it's not like mass communication. There was two tracks. You could go, I did have to take mass communication, but I took it twice because I failed it the first time. So that was not the track that I went. I went in communication theory, which, were great classes like interpersonal communication, group communication, conflict resolution, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
But when Judy has this topic, I was thinking about it and I said, the first thing I'm thinking of is something I really learned a long time ago, which is communication. Like back when I learned it, there wasn't Snapchat, Zoom, or texting. There wasn't any of that. So there was, there was writing. But when you wrote to someone, it was called one-way communication. One dimension. One dimension, yeah, because you're just presenting information certain information in one form, and it doesn't include anything about the tone of your voice, anything else. But that's the same thing with texting. It's what you're doing when you're texting. It's just one dimension.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see beyond how you are going to interpret what's written.
Yep.
Now, how that can be interpreted can be 1,000 different ways every time, because you don't get the other dimensions. You don't get like the tone of voice. Maybe I'm being sarcastic. Maybe I'm laughing when I'm saying it. I'm joking, or maybe you don't see the environment I'm in. You don't see that I've got maybe a kid screaming behind me, "Help me!" You don't know the environment I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know. There's so many variables that really exist in communication that we just really, as a culture, a lot of us just are not using and being aware of.
Mm-hmm.
But because as we're texting, I try not to ever get upset by anything in a text, so it's just I can help it because you don't know. And if
No.
I do, I try to talk to them about it afterwards because you don't know. So we've got like the text or written. We've got phone. Back in my day, that was the next level where you could actually hear the tone of voice, or you can have it in person. Those are basically the levels way back when. And there's so much that can go wrong that just not only what you say matters, but also take the other things into consideration. And if in doubt or if you feel offended, try the full communication, the actual seeing the person in their habitat, in their culture, in their environment, with their voices, and talk about it, because you're not getting the whole picture. The whole picture is not there, and we're living that way so much right now, in
Yeah.
that mode of communication. So yeah, so I just wanted us to go into the rest of today's show, just keeping that in mind, because it's not only what you say, it's where it's said, how it's said, and it's many layers to that.
Yeah, it's and the nonverbal speaks as much as the verbal when you're in person.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how many times with Maddie growing up, one of the things, we were told you give them a timeout. Then at the end of the timeout, you talk to them about why they were in timeout. And then, they are to apologize if they hurt someone's feelings or anything like that. And Maddie was famous for saying, I'm sorry. But energetically, she was telling you to fuck off.
Well, when a person is rolling their eyes when they say they care about you, that's
like,
it.
Something's
Totally different. Yeah, teenagers, you miss a lot out if you only have a text.
Exactly. And when I know Maddie so well that I can feel it in a text now.
Oh my gosh, that's absolutely.
Yes. And the reading the energy, and that's where we're going to talk about words. Words have vibration. Words have energy that come with them. So when I first started this whole, you know what? They're flashing me back to teaching. When I got out of college, by the time I got out, we were told that you had to find something positive to say to every single kid every single day. And being a phys ed teacher, you're seeing the entire school. At least at elementary school, you see every kid at least once a week. High school, you're seeing a group of kids multiple times a week. But there are some kids that just have a bad day. And you don't want to lie to them. That was my big thing. I don't want to lie to them and blow sunshine up their ass and tell them they did a great job when they didn't. So find something that they did well. And we would, me being the sarcastic ass that I was and still can be at times, I would laugh and be like, what? Compliment them on how they tied their shoes well today? But sometimes it can be as simple as, thank you for showing up today. Things might have been a little rough today, and that's okay. There's always tomorrow.
Yeah.
Even back then, I knew in my sarcastic state that the kids pick up on the energy of the words more than adults do anymore. Because I feel like through experience, we've kind of numbed ourselves. We have our own filters. So we filter whatever's being said or being read in a text through our filters as well. And the kids are the ones like, that's bullshit. Their bullshit detectors are still super strong. So I knew going into it that there had to be authenticity in what I said. I had to mean it. And at the high school, depending on the rapport I had with the kids, I had a wider range. Like those kids that knew they were being jackasses. I wouldn't say, good job being a jackass today, but I'd say, good job challenging me. Thank you for showing me that I needed work in this, and it got to the point where we could at least joke about things. I would be honest when I was having a bad day. And I feel like we convince ourselves, especially at the beginning of this spiritual journey where everything's supposed to be light and love and blah, blah, blah. Yes, that's what we aspire to. But you know what? Life is life, and we're living this human experience. And it's not all light and love. A lot of it's hard and ugly and angering and depressing, and it causes anxiety. And it's okay to be honest about that. Because the big thing about, words matter, the biggest thing I've learned is about alignment. When I paint on a face and go out and pretend that everything's okay, that's not honoring me. That's me it's a performance. That's me putting on a show. Yeah. So am I in alignment? Is my vibration high? No. Am I to go out and be enraged and take it out on everybody else? No, that's not wise for me to do that either. But if I'm in that state, then know myself well enough to be like, I'm not fit for public today. I need to stay home and work through this shit that I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So it's not about performing. It's not about pretending. It's about, if you're pissed, allow yourself to say, I'm pissed. I'm angry. Dig into the emotion and be able to identify it. It's very interesting how many people are going through life right now that have never learned to identify their emotions. And that's something that we've been working on. Janice and I have been working on being able to see it, observe it. The biggest thing we were talking about in the pregame is being able to observe without judgment. Because we are our harshest judges. We beat the shit out of ourselves. And it's something that we've been working on for years, to put that away and just simply be the observer. And when we observe without judgment, we allow ourselves to feel whatever it is we're feeling. And we can ask the curious questions. Because when we allow ourselves to get curious, it's because we really want to know the information. It's not we're looking for information to judge. We really want to know. So what I was finding was, yes, I'm getting curious. And my questions suck. I'd ask the question, wouldn't get any answers, or, be frustrated because I had to figure and I had to dig and I had to do. And that's exhausting. When I finally learned, ask a better fucking question. Just ask a better question, Judy. If you're not getting that answer, okay, how can you ask the question to be more specific? Ask a better question. So when asking the better questions, you have to choose the words.
Or at least a different one. Try a different one, because I'm sure you're doing just fine. I'm catching you now. I like it.
Share. So yes, we're going to start out here with words have vibration. So if we go to that first slide, there was a perfect meme from Jeff Brown that I wanted to put up and share with everybody. And if you're listening through podcast, I'm going to go ahead and read it for you. It says, words, so powerful. They can crush a heart or they can heal it. They can shame a soul or liberate it. They can shatter dreams or energize them. They can obstruct connection or invite it. They can create defenses or melt them. We have to use our words wisely.
It's interesting. When you talk about any childhood trauma, or you talk about your past, or what's made you who you are, it's people's statements to you. Well, for me, I'll talk to myself. I'm assuming that I'm not the only person, but like I remember something my father said, or I remember something my stepmother said, or my sister said, and that those are the memories that have created my issue, my trauma. Yeah. So I mean, so true. And then you think, oh no, how many? What have I done to my kids? What are their trauma memories? Because no one's perfect.
But Jennifer Clark watching today. Hi, Jen.
And she says that's the tricky part. Express the emotion, rage, anger, frustration, and still choose the words with care.
Yep.
Well said, Jennifer.
Amen. Amen. Yes. And, it's interesting because my body image issues, once I was able to, I continue to work with that every day, but I realized it wasn't anyone else speaking to me and saying the words to me and shaming me. It was I was listening to my mother shame herself. I was listening to how much my mother shit talked herself. And then I took those words and put them on me. And with that, that's like that, I have to hate my body because it doesn't look like everybody else's. You hold on to that belief, and then I'm just like the callus just starts to grow around that belief, and it makes you harder and harder and harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even as you get older and you in work or something, there's been times people have said things to me,
Mm-hmm.
and that's probably reinforce some fears I had or traumas or self-hates or whatever. And so even then, it doesn't have to be just a childhood phrase or something, but people say things as adults that there's a few I will never forget. Some nice.
Mm-hmm.
There's some very nice memories, and there's some that just you get the let's say the pain from whatever trauma,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not good enough, whatever. And then someone says things, oh yeah. And so it makes it stronger and bigger and stronger. Because first of all, what they're saying, you never know what people's trauma and history is. So you could say something, and that goes to show none of us are perfect. We don't know, but we do the best we can, but because that can really build on or make, things turn. It really can. And it's ongoing. And, then I tend to think, oh, what have I done? Oh, no. But the thing is, you can't help it. No one's perfect. You probably have said things that hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
The best I can do is what I used to do is at night I'd go over and over and over and over in my head. Oh, no, what I say. And then by the next day I had to talk to them about it. So I'm so sorry I said that, And then sometimes they would be like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they did feel that way. So, you just do the best you can, but knowing that your words matter and be thoughtful. And if you can't be thoughtful in the moment, try not to. Or if you hurt someone and you can't overcome it that day, try addressing it the next day or, and we're not perfect, but the intention and your authenticity when you're talking to them afterwards, that'll show that what was really going on.
Yeah. And what I've, we hold a belief. The universe doesn't care if it builds us up or tears us down. And when we hold that belief, the universe is going to provide evidence that that's exactly how we should feel. Whether it's the words that we continue to say to ourselves, the experiences that reinforce it, or somebody speaking the words to you that you're thinking of yourself. Like I had an experience where somebody that I really loved and cared for basically looked at me and told me I was a worthless piece of shit. And I was able to make that person the villain. And, I was appalled and I was the victim and all these things. But the reality was, once I was able to move through all the emotion of it all, the truth was, he just said what I was thinking. He said what I was thinking. He gave that to me. And where I was once sitting there as the victim, and believe me, this did not take 24 hours. It took months and months and months and months. I was once sitting as the victim. It was like he mirrored that back to me for me because I didn't know how deep it went. And when I was able to see it as the mirror, I was able to see him as the teacher. He gave that to me because I needed to heal that part of me. Do I believe I'm a worthless piece of shit? No, I don't believe that anymore. Did I believe it when he said it? I think that's why it hurt so much, because it was still buried deep enough that I didn't realize there was still some debris there.
Yeah.
So it helped pull that, extract that.
And then ideally you'd be able to go into the next step and say, okay, so saying it that way to me was not okay. And that's a him thing.
Mm-hmm.
He could have communicated that or should have communicated that in a less harmful way.
Yes, he is human as well. And the interesting thing is, depending on where I am, that sometimes that's the way it needs to be delivered. That harsh, that cutting, I feel like that's what cut to the depth of that root of that belief. And when I don't hold that belief anymore, it's not that people necessarily stop doing things or saying things, or even myself, but I don't grab onto it. I don't hold on to it. I allow it to pass through. I take note of it, like, interesting. Or there are times I don't even hear it at all. If there is something said to me that is along those lines in that belief system, it's like I don't even hear it anymore. So, first person we need to make sure we have open, clear communication with is ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important that we really think about and just observe the words we're using. Don't judge. Watch yourself one day, move through the day. I couldn't believe how many times in a day I would say, "Oh my God, you're killing me." And even though that's joking or whatever, the universe doesn't have doesn't get humor, doesn't get sarcasm. So, we think it's just off the cuff joking, but your words matter. They have vibration. They have a frequency that they carry. And if that's, my dog, "Oh my God, Berno, you're killing me." No, that's not okay. That's not okay. We need to take a commercial break.
Okay.
Yes. So we will be right back after this brief commercial break.
See you in a minute.
Hello, and welcome back to Be Here Now, where presence invites perspective and allows peace. Today's topic, words matter, choose them wisely. We were talking before the break about how the most important, clear, open line of communication we need to have, the first relationship, is with ourselves. So if we can hit that next slide, we have another slide from Emma Creed. Every word you say, every thought you have has an effect. Therefore, your words are either healing or harming. You get to choose moment by moment, breath by breath. And then she invites you to be responsible. We invite you to be responsible for all of your communication. It really does matter. So that whole I think I didn't do the, is it healing or harming? I did, is it feeding my peace or is it feeding my pain? That's where I was thinking, are the words I'm saying to myself, they feeding my pain or are they feeding my peace? And that's when I was able to sit and really observe the internal dialogue I was having with myself, and categorize them in those two categories, healing or harming, perfect, pain or peace. Then I was able to start making choices as to where I wanted to shift that dialogue. And Janice, you and I have talked a lot about old stories. What can we do to shift the old story? Because we're not that same person. Therefore, the dialogue that goes on within us is no longer aligned with who we are.
Yeah.
And we talk about alignment being the most authentic way to present yourself, where your thoughts, your words, your actions, and your energy all align. And when we talk shit about ourselves, we don't even believe it anymore. We're just so used to it happening. So being able to observe that internal dialogue and pick and choose and shift what we want present is life-changing.
Yeah. I was just thinking of my brother. My nephew, his son, is having a ceremony. He's in the military. He's in the Air Force, in some ceremony promotion. And the last time I saw my brother, I was recluse. I kind of stayed away and spent time, at night, just instead of being out with my brother and sister, I just went in the bedroom and by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And he made a comment. He said something to me about, like, oh, I wouldn't fit in there at the ceremony. I was like, oh, I want to support my nephew, maybe I can go to the ceremony. "Oh, well, you wouldn't fit in." What? So it's just so many layers. It's got me thinking about um, what the words he chose and what do they mean, but also how he sees me, and
Mm-hmm.
then it's about how do I see myself, and to me, it's I can go there and I could be a person who would fit in,
Mm-hmm.
but I can believe it. But I know at his wedding, I did not go. I did not go. I did not. He married someone who's got money,
Mm-hmm.
and like it's a fancy wedding, and I didn't have the money to fly out there at the time, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel comfortable because of me and my issues and how I saw myself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's easier a few whatever years later. My brother's assuming I'm going to be like that, and I have been like that, so it's based on reality. But it's easier to not take it personally when how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
there's some days I really could be very social and be out there. I mean, I have been very social and outgoing, and
Mm-hmm.
there's days I haven't. And I think often, and being able to say this because I think I am more authentic and in touch with who I am.
Yep.
But it's, but I haven't been, and I know that, and that's just interesting. And maybe I'll address it with him, but I don't know if it matters enough because it's really just about what I think.
Are you going?
Right now, I'm not,
Okay.
but
So
the reasons are different. Um, I don't know if I want to travel, but I don't have much money, in my retirement. So I'm
great.
going to pick and choose my traveling.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to go to Salt Lake City in October.
Mm-hmm.
And I want, I'll be able to go on maybe one place a year.
Okay.
And I've spent up to now, anytime I've traveled, it's been for my family. It's for a family thing. We visit my brother. My brother was in the Air Force, so go to his ceremonies, and it's been about family or deaths or whatever. I
Right.
want, and yeah. So I don't know. Then I want to support my nephew, so I haven't
Okay.
thought that through yet.
Okay. Because what I'm hearing is, you know, especially the people that we don't see all the time, they're going to expect the old version of us. So for him to say that, it's great that you didn't, go into that self-loathing and beating because you're different. But that's where you could say something along the lines of, I understand where you would feel that, but I'm in a very different place now. And I would love to come and support my nephew.
Yeah.
And that's giving other people grace too, because they're used to us showing up a certain way.
Yeah.
We've done that for the majority of our lives. We showed up a certain way. So those expectations that the people have that haven't seen us,
Yeah.
we
And
got
the
to give
thing,
them grace.
it's hard because too, my brother's been like my big brother who took care of me, and he's my hero, and I'm a different person probably with him
Mm-hmm.
than I am, different situations. But I think since I see him as the closest thing I've ever had to a caretaker, emotional caretaker, I
Right.
am probably I am more emotional with him. He sees that part of me that brings it out because I don't know why, but that's another day.
Because you feel safe with him. That's
Yeah.
why you feel safe with him. Yeah. So that's a beautiful thing. And for you to be able to say, I understand why you would feel that way. And I understand why you would think that way. But, I'm a lot different now.
Yeah. So like as far as, communicating, and it's so many levels to everything, right? It's his communication to me of what he thought. It's
Mm-hmm.
my communication to him, and it's my communication to myself.
Yep.
So this topic, it's so complex, and and if you can look at and face each one, it gets easier and easier,
Mm-hmm.
or cleaner, or more authentic, or more true, as you work your way through these layers of what people dealing with, what people think of you, what you think of yourself, what it's hard.
Yeah. And it is multi-layered. And the cleaner your relationship is with you, the more honest you are with you, the more honest you are with other people, because it just happens. And, we begin to attract people that not only appreciate the fact that we show up true and authentic, which means we could be feeling anything at any time, but they do the same. So when you're in relationships that are open and honest, and there's, healthy boundaries where we don't engage when we're angry or out of alignment and things like that, whatever wording you want to use, then that's where we begin to feel safe with not only one person, but safe with our tribe. Because it's all based in, first, truth with yourself.
Yeah.
When we can be honest with ourselves, we don't mind it when other people are honest with us too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the little I'm not good enough came out from my feelings. Oh, he doesn't think I'm good enough to be with fancier people. What I have been, I know how to be, I can be. So it's hard though to not take that on, that feeling, or, okay, I see I'm thinking that. There's a little part of me is thinking that, okay.
Yes, and that's an excellent point to make, because it's not that those things stop affecting us. They can still hurt, but Janice sat with it. She allowed herself to feel it. And instead of going down into the deep pit of doom, she allowed herself to feel it and work through it. She allowed herself to go to that dialogue. Is this true? And then take those steps from there. We're not saying all of a sudden nothing's going to challenge you, nothing's going to hurt your feelings. We're just saying you now have the tools to deal with it.
Yeah.
And that first question of, is this true?
Yes.
Is key.
Oh yeah. I'm learning this process from that second chapter group I'm with, but I'm only good at the first few. Well, not that I'm good or not good, but I'm very clear about it. How's that?
There you go. I love that. Good job.
You trained me well. So the first one's just, what's the fact? What is just the fact that no one else you can't debate, no matter what. That is, my brother said to me, for example, said to me, you wouldn't fit in.
Yep.
Okay. So that's the fact. What emotion does it give you? Let's start identifying the emotion. Oh, wait a minute. I got to stop because I think I can tell. Jennifer Clark just sent us a message, and I just want to share it before it goes down. Communication really is so multifaceted with others. With yourself, and recognizing the words you're using across the board is huge. Taking a breath and looking at the impact of the words you're saying or hearing or interpreting is such a big step. Yeah, absolutely. Jennifer, you got that right on.
Yes,
thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So the first thing is, what's the real fact? As my brother said, I'm not going to fit in. Then the second one is, what's it make me feel? It makes me feel, see, I'm not good enough to be with fancier people. Or he sees me as not, he sees me as a person who's not worthy, and you go down the road. Okay. But what do I really feel? I feel unworthy. I feel I'm not good enough. I feel unloved, that no one can love me the way I truly am. And Jennifer Clark, such amazing progress, Janice. Thanks, Jennifer. She knows me from when I first started. And thank you. Yeah, so I forgot what I was saying because that was such a nice thought. I'm in the positive thoughts now. Positive.
You were talking about how did that make you feel?
So that's the steps. And then I feel those feelings. Okay, but it's based on a fact. And what I've done with that fact, I've interpreted it to an emotion based on my history of not feeling good about myself. Okay, so is there another possible way to interpret that?
Nice.
Okay, yeah. he could have just based on, which is what I did think of. The last few times I've been with him, I've really been withdrawn and into myself, and I do share those parts of myself with him. That's what he knows about me. I wouldn't even go to Maine with a group a few years back. Well, actually, it's been like 10 years now. But I wouldn't even go because I didn't feel comfortable. So, yeah, okay. That's what he's saying, and it's based on those things. Okay. So there you go. That, and there's a few more steps, but I haven't gotten that far.
Okay. And that's beautiful, because you admit the fact that, okay, I've created this story around this. I can see why he feels this way. And that's exactly, I can understand why you would feel this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But yet I know it's not who I always am. I have been that way before, maybe, but that's
Mhm.
not who I am today.
Exactly. And that's the big thing. It's not who you are today. I can understand why you would feel that way, but it's not who I am today.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so empowering in itself. You being able to say the words that I'm not that same person.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. And when we, again, when we are able to check ourselves, is this the story I want to continue feeding life into? Is this the story that I still believe?
Yeah.
Because that subconscious thought, that auto response, is that old pattern that we're shifting. And we've talked about shifting patterns in many different shows.
Yeah.
Your words are one of the first steps.
And what I used to communicate when I talk to him is I communicate from my fear place.
Mm-hmm.
I was fearful of going to the wedding because I don't feel good. But, I just want him to understand me. So I share those things and I try to, but that's where I was communicating from, because that's where I was living at the
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yep.
So you communicate, the more you can communicate from your authentic self and in a place of love and acceptance. What a goal. It's just the best if when you can do that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Alignment is key, is key. And we talk about words shifting. Janice and I have discovered along this path that when we started to shift our words and question our belief systems, then the things that we watched on television started to shift. The music that we listen to shift. The people that we want to surround ourselves with starts to shift. And it's not about, people talk about intentions, setting intentions and mantras and declarations and things like that. And that's all wonderful. What we need to remember in manifestation is it's about our words, actions, and energy all aligning with the frequency of where we want to be.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, something that I've been learning more and more about these past however many months is, we can say the words. I'm weigh 125 pounds. Look at myself in the mirror and my subconscious says, bullshit. No, you don't. So how do you work around a declaration that isn't currently true?
Yeah.
And what I'm learning is that whole curious factor.
Yeah.
Start asking the question, how is it so easy for me? How is it that everything works out for me? How is it that my body is so strong and athletic and toned? And start asking the questions. Jen and I have found a woman that puts it to music and declares all the cells in my body are healthy. All the cells in my body are healthy. All the cells in my body are healthy. And then the second verse is, how is it all the cells in my body are healthy? So she goes through that whole pattern of declaring it, asking it, and then being grateful. And I am grateful. And oddly enough, we've started playing it every morning, and then we play it every night before we go to bed. So when my mind starts to travel, it travels to song. That's something that connects with me.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been really wild. And it made me remember that through this healing journey, I've had music all along the way, because that helps me. The rhythm helps me, the words. So I've been really, really focused on lyrics. Is that something I want to feed to my subconscious? Is that
definitely music is a big part of your growth and journey, that's for sure.
Absolutely. So be aware of what you're watching on TV, what you're scrolling through on your social media. Be the observer. When you're scrolling, what opens up your heart and makes you feel happy? What makes you shut down and makes you feel upset? unease is the word I keep hearing, which is interesting. But really pay attention to how what you're seeing, what you're hearing is making you feel. And then
Because
you can choose how it
that's
is you want to feel.
that's communication. That's communication to you that you're taking in. It's communication. It's all about the words, you know, and again, words can affect you and it's one dimensional and you just be careful.
Exactly. Exactly. So, if somebody sends you a text and you feel a certain way, get curious, ask for clarity. Say, this is what I'm hearing, or this is what I'm feeling with this. Is this what you mean to send? Or can you be more clear? Don't be afraid to ask questions. Allow yourself to be curious.
I find if you do it out of curiosity, out of questioning, it's easy to do. It's like I hate conflict, but I don't mind curiosity. So I really say, do you feel that this way? What does that mean? When you said, I don't mind, I'm comfortable with curiosity.
Yeah,
but not conflict. And curiosity is the way to go.
it is, because being authentically curious without trying to gather information that you can judge and use against people. When you're sitting in that curious state, you really want to know. And it's because for me, I used to when I started doing the show back in 2017, I would say, well, I'm just nosy and I like to learn a lot about people. And it was a guest that we had on the show looked at me and said, stop using that word. Stop saying you're nosy. You're not nosy. You're curious. You're very curious to learn about people and their journeys. And she was like, that's one of the reasons you're so good at this, because people feel comfortable with you. They know that you're not gathering information to judge or to use against you're sitting in that space of curiosity. So yeah, it was real easy for me to do that with other people. It was more of a challenge for me to get curious for me.
Yeah.
So yes, if you find yourself creating a story around something that someone said to you or sent to you in a text or whatever, ask yourself, can I ask them the question that will give more clarity?
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming I'm creating a story and I don't like the story I'm creating. So.
And usually it's a habit. It's not even like a new, fresh thing.
Exactly. And just start to take note of how you feel when you use certain words. Yeah, we'll just leave it there.
Yeah. I know time flies. It's like, oh my gosh, we got like 2 minutes left.
I know.
Yeah, my blocker, my word is can't. I can't. Anytime I say can't, it's like, whoa. That's my word that shuts me down. It stops me from trying. It stops me from looking,
I have not yet been able to. In the past, I have not been. That's something big that's hit me over the past couple of months, because can't was another one for me. And it's no, I have not yet been able to. In the past, I haven't been. And, it opens the door for possibility. Can't shuts that door.
Yeah.
So pay attention. And we'll end with one of our favorite guys, Don Miguel Ruiz. His number one agreement in the 4 agreements is be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. Truth and love. And that's, truth. Truth is not always an easy pill to swallow. So focus on truth and love. Okay. It'll help give greater understanding, balance your emotions, which is nervous system regulation, and it gives you a deeper connection to yourself and others. All right. Okay, Janice, we have reached the end of yet another show.
Boy, time flies.
It really does fly. We want to thank you all for choosing to be here now with us. Please always remember,
you are not alone.
And don't ever forget, you are awesome. Special shout out to Jen. Thanks for all your comments today and engagement.
Thank you. Appreciate you. And thanks everybody for your support and being here now with us.
Yes. We'll see you next.
Bye.